feel the way it sounded in the newspaper was that the county was giving us something. The county is letting us authorize, you know, our own monies. That's monies that belongs to us that we are authorizing them to use. So.
Okay, hold it before you want to respond to Barbara? Because
I just want to elaborate.
Go ahead.
You can't respond because I'm telling you
everything
correct.
Rich Hendershot, it's already in writing that how this whole process should happen. It's unfortunate that I was unaware that there was calls made and Mr. White was sent to, and Mel Rand, Mr. Leach he's out of town. But there is, had I known, I would have produced the email sent by Rich Hendershot approving this process, because it was approved back in August of last year. But let me also say, we also wanted in this council meeting, had it taken place, we've invited Sherry Dahl. She's from Rutzel and Andrews law firm to explain what Chapter 9 is.
They are aware of that. They're aware of that.
Okay.
Right. And
no one has not missed the beat on this.
Oh no, I thought you were canceling the council meeting.
No.
We did cancel the council meeting. We haven't canceled.
Okay.
Yes.
You know what? I need to ask you this because you can help me. Sure. I want you to take this in.
That's a question.
Go ahead.
All right. We still going to personnel appointments, or
yeah.
Still in because once we come out of that, we're gonna meet with them anyway.
Okay, but I gotta ask him this because he won't be in personal appointment. This is a closed session.
Are
we in a closed session?
Oh.
No, not yet. Remember when we sat down and we talked, and our clerk came and got us about this coal patch? Okay, well the other day, when they had the water main break up there in University Circle, I went down Lakeview, and it was so bad, I crawled down there. I went over, I almost, you would have said Martin is really off the hook now. Belvoir and
I know that little
Hillsborough
curve,
was going down there the other day. Now, we were together when this guy said he was going to give us 20, 30 tons of coal patch. Before I pulled in here about an hour ago, some big hole on Euclid, a couple of big holes. I did see where they had done something in front of Walgreens. So my question is, and we found out tonight we got 8 service workers, 8 or 7 service workers. Why aren't the holes being filled in with the coal patch? Explain that, please.
That coal patch went in 3 days.
20, 30 tons of it is
right. 20, 30. It sounds like it's a lot.
Right.
But it's not really a lot of coal patch. That went in 3 days.
And it's gone?
Yeah, that's been gone. Yeah, weeks. 20, 30 tons sound like a lot, but we did on Brewster almost 2 tons alone.
On Brewster?
On Brewster. Right.
Well, what about down in the valley?
I paid for mine.
Right.
Okay, I know you pay taxes.
No,
you paid for yourself?
I paid for it.
They bought it, right. Yeah. And then when I bought a ton, and yeah, those tons, yeah, it's not a lot.
Well, Michael Smedley, answer. You rode down Hillsborough and Belvoir. You rode down. You can't even hardly drive down Lakeview.
So
what's up? Why come we didn't take care of that?
You have to repave Lakeview.
But we got to put something there until we can get to the point to repave it.
There's really nothing you can do unless you repave it.
So the 20, 30 tons of coal patch
was gone within 3 days. It was received.
Okay.
Right. It was gone in 3 days.
All right. Well, I didn't know.
And then we wouldn't put it on Lakeview.
We
wouldn't put it on Lakeview. We put it on streets where people live and drive. You know, we couldn't even resurface the cost of that. If council would say, "Hey, we want to repave Lakeview," then someone's going to get upset because we didn't pave a street where people live.
So you did Brewster?
No.
I'm just giving you an example. That was a while ago. I was just giving you an example.
Yeah. So what did we do with the 20, 30 tons of coal patch in the day that
I'll have a sheet.
Sent them out there?
I'll have a sheet sent to you. I tell you every street that we did, every hole that we patched.
Hold on 1 second. Wait a minute. Tracy, you need to get this down. Okay, please. Okay.
It's on the.
Started.
table.
Okay, no.
I'll send her.
He's gonna send us the streets they did with just 20, 30 tons of coal patch. That's fine.
I will speak up and say that I did see some complaints that I filed in my area to take care of.
So we don't have anything
Stuff is
else.
heavy,
Well, I know.
so
You really have to see with 20, 30. Because I didn't know either. I said, I'm going to go buy a ton,
It's about-
and I'm going to spread it all over. They're like, hey, a
it's
ton is only
about
going to
2
fill these
truck
3 holes.
loads, basically.
Go by weight.
It's about
Yeah.
2 truck loads.
I was disappointed too when I learned what a ton was.
Okay. I'm figuring we had the city
Yes,
covered.
yes. When I bought a ton, I was like, yeah, if I'm buying a ton, we're going to do. That was
Wait a minute,
definitely.
hold on. So you've never used cement?
No, I don't do nothing with my hands. I use my brain. I thought you knew.
That ain't saying
So you can go for a whole bag of cement for
They
the
ain't
whole
saying much.
Right.
All right,
go ahead.
I got a question.
Wheeler. Go ahead.
Just to give you some guidance on this, I want to make a recommendation. Since we're here with the attorney in Smedley, I don't know how long we're going to be in executive session for this personnel issue. Can we suspend the time for a moment? You want to do it in this order?
No, I want to. I got some questions too, so I want to get.
Well, it's not on, through process and procedures, not on this agenda. Now, so we can't do this.
Right.
Okay.
You can add it.
Okay.
I have a question.
Other thing too is,
on the trucks.
I want to say, go back, go ahead.
Okay,
Go ahead.
the trucks. So that I understand the trucks, it's a matter of public safety. The trucks are still being worked on. They haven't stopped working on the trucks.
No. No, they have not started. The mayor spoke to.
They have not stopped. They
They have
already
not
started.
stopped. They've started. Right? What we're trying to do, this legislation allows us
That's supposed to be my.
give them confidence that they don't take us out of the order, right? If they don't believe that the pay structure is going to be there, they're going to take us out of the order and work on another community's trucks.
But they haven't done that just
They
yet.
have not done that. As of yesterday, they have not done that.
Okay,
They
now,
haven't done,
Stopped working on our trucks. What they doing?
but you said something about the chassis. Did you waiting for that part?
Well, they're putting the chassis on.
Pardon me, you only supposed to be discussing what's on this agenda
I got
in
one
the
to
committee.
discuss before you cut.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to let you
Huh?
know.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Um,
Well, let's,
I didn't know
I
that.
needed to know, because Barbara, it was on my mind about these 20, 30 tons of coal patch, so I got educated. I thought it was a whole bunch of it, so you educated me. Brandy, if you ain't got nothing else, we can go
I
into
do,
this.
but can we answer questions
Okay.
on this?
On this.
On the truck. So
Well,
listen, here's my understanding. If we had it in writing from Hendershot that we could use the 2014 funds, right? So the 2014 funds that he had already approved are still there.
Right.
The 2014 funds that Mr. Rich Hendershot already approved are still there.
Of course.
And they can only be used for this truck, right? For the 2 trucks,
Yeah.
the 65,000. So it hasn't gone anywhere.
Right.
So if we pass the legislation, it wouldn't really affect that because that money is still there.
Right. Because what happens is, in the action plan, we did the action plan, we all agreed that we would buy trucks, which we did last year, early last year. We then began to take the public service dollars and put them. I think you guys participated in the ranking of who gets the public service dollars, right? So out of the 160,000, 165,000, whatever it is, 65,000 that we all set aside for the trucks. And then the 185,000. 160,000 was set aside and the rest was divided up amongst the organizations. You guys participated in the ranking of that a couple months ago.
That was the action.
Right, that was the public service for the 2014 action plan. So these things have been set aside and they're ready to go. This legislation has no bearing on the legislation. What it does, it says that we're going to guarantee our payment. So it doesn't have a direct connection to the 2014.
Yes, it does. Okay, let me explain something to you.
Go ahead.
Right quick. I'm not saying that the money is not there. The 2014 money is not there. The 2014 money is there, but there's a new agreement since the financing was pulled out. Now, I'm not talking what I don't know, I'm talking what I do know. I'm saying that we can do that if Hendershot gives us the permission to continue to use that 2014 monies. But it was under another agreement. It was under a 2014 agreement. So that is the problem that we're having. And the auditor and Ms. Hood, who pulls down this money, agreed that I couldn't go forward unless I have permission to use that continue to still use that 2014 money. If you can't use it, I'm sure Rich will let you, will say it's okay, all right. But right in the meantime, Ms. Hood, who pulls down the money, who you hired to deal with that down there in the community development, and the auditors are saying you're under a new year now, and that agreement was under there, but you can only use that money for trucks. So if you have to use, if you can't use that 2,000, the payment, you would have to take the $65,000 twice from here to make two payments, because you were supposed to make a payment in 2014 and a payment in 2015. The only reason that I'm doing it is to wait and make sure that Rich is saying, okay, so we're going to call another council meeting or the one Tuesday and go and get on with it, and when there's no problem. I just wanted to make you all aware of why I canceled the council meeting, that's all.
Okay, no, that's beautiful, and I just want to say I understood what was going on. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't affecting the production of the trucks.
Oh, no, it did.
Slowing up
It did.
the time. Well, see, then what we should have done,
No, when the financing stopped, that's what stopped
Okay.
your production.
okay, but I don't want the council, because it's already been approved by Hendershot. So he's not gonna change his mind
No,
on it.
I'm sure it's not.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to hold up the production of the
done.
trucks, is all I'm saying.
That's not what Hendershot approves. What they did, what happens, and Ms. Hood, what she does, her job is to take the information that is prepared by the community development director, who deals directly with Hendershot and White. So she may not be aware. All she does is take the information he gives her, inputs make sure that it's accurate, input it in the computer so we can do a drawdown. That's her job in its entirety, right? So Mr. Leach had worked this out. What happens is, it says the public service has rules, says this is what the money can be used for, no more, no less. What Rich Hendershot agreed to is that the reason we gave them fall within one of the criteria. That's all, that's his entire job in this. So there's no, when you pass the 2014 action plan, you set the rules. All he does is says, can the money be used for these purposes? He did that. The 2015 action plan hasn't even come before you yet.
Yes, it has. It's been approved.
2015 has. Oh, you guys approved? Oh, that's great.
Yes.
But you haven't approved the public service yet. So the 2014 and 15 they have nothing to do with one another. If the money is still sitting there, and the rules that says how you spend this money applies to buying the trucks, that's all that Hendershot does. He doesn't say, hey, you have to have this type of agreement and that type of agreement, and that agreement expires at a certain amount of time. If any conditions change, then the agreement. That's not what he does.
Well,
I'm just trying to explain to him
and we now continue to go back and forth. All I'm saying is, when I talk to the auditors is saying, the auditor is saying to me, you can, I want a guarantee from Hendershot that we can use 2014. Am I correct?
Right. Meaning that they don't know whether or not you can do it.
That's what it sounds like.
They never called and said, no one called Milran and said, hey, Milran, send us the approval.
I don't have anything for Milran.
It sounds like he's saying that it's up to us, how we spend that money, and we decided to spend it on the trucks. And
No, you
Hendershot
guaranteed you would
we
spend it
could.
on a truck.
Yes, you can. No, we decided to do it,
Yeah.
and Hendershot said yes,
Right.
you can do it.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm not
Okay,
arguing.
so
I think we're saying
what he's saying is it's not up to White or the other person.
Right. Once Hendershot agreed with the argument that my predecessor and the former finance director gave them, saying buying these salt trucks fall within the rules of public service. Once he agreed to that, that's his entire job in that.
Okay.
And they gave us that agreement back
I think we're saying
in
the same
February.
We are.
We're saying the
But
same
my point is, it doesn't change. There is no contract. There's no special document that says if anything changes, then you have to go back and get another approval. Once he says yes, trucks fall within the rules and the guidelines of public service, then it's left up to us to create whatever the mechanisms are. So to 2014, we wouldn't go down this road. We wouldn't even put in an order if Rich Hendershot and HUD didn't agree that it falls within the guidelines of public service.
I think
But
think we're saying the same identical thing. Only the issue is that we're gonna wait till Hendershot come back, and he can say, okay, this was already in works. Yes, I agree. Use it and go ahead. Now that's why I cancel.
As long as they don't stop production on those
If they
trucks.
are not going to do
I don't know if they're waiting to see this piece of legislation come through today. I don't know that at all.
No, they weren't waiting for that.
If
No,
they
I'm
do,
talking
we need
about
to pass.
Huntington.
All right.
We need those
The
trucks.
last comments on this and questions is Mansell Baker, then we need to move
Thank
on.
Thank
Okay,
you.
all right,
Thank
you
you.
will.
I'm gonna stay to what I see printed. My question is no longer about trucks. I don't know if it was asked earlier, I think it probably was, who is heading the service department and what are the qualifications?
I can respond to that.
Is that Brandon? I know we don't have a city.
We were told, and they were sitting around here, we were told that Antonio Marshall is.
He's not heading the department.
No,
Okay,
he's not
well, who
heading.
is-
He's
well,
not
tell us.
heading.
In the absence, is in the charter, in the absence of a department director, the mayor heads the department.
I know that.
And then he designated me to ensure that whatever operations happen. Now, we had a superintendent, which we no longer have, which was Meach. And now we only have a supervisor, which is Antonio Marshall.
So he's
He's just a supervisor.
He's an acting supervisor.
He's
He's an acting
right.
supervisor?
He's just a supervisor, that's
How
all
did
he
he
is.
move up to supervisor status from being a part or temporary employee or to?
He was never a temp.
I mean, well, how do we?
Because no one else wanted the job. We tried to offer
it was
two other
it
people.
was one other
By
person.
process of elimination, he got the job. Because no one else wanted it.
I would understand why they don't want it.
But we had to hold somebody responsible.
So for the record, he's acting supervisor. Or
So
he
he
is a supervisor.
a supervisor. Right. He's the lowest paid supervisor in the service department as well.
Well, and might I say this, I really don't want us to get the wrong impression. He is the interim supervisor, and he can't be anything else until it comes before
The council.
the council.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about that.
Well,
She's speaking of the status change. So whatever his initial status is that what he stays until, I guess the hiring freeze legislation, what I said 2 years ago was that if there was to be a hire or a status change, the only thing that had to be done was that list be given to council in a public meeting so that we lift as a body, all 5 of us or all 4 of us, lift as a body that piece of legislation and give you guys the go ahead to go ahead and move. Once the finances were checked and we could secure those individuals. It was just as a matter of doing things in order. That I know that has not been adhered to. Now the weight of the decision is out there saying that the commission controls whether or not you change the status of somebody or give them a pay raise or increase. You yourself switch status from executive assistant to the mayor to now chief of staff without issue. I don't know, and that gives me a segue to my next statement. I don't know how others have not made their switch under that same circumstance. The fire department, I need to speak on that.
Can I respond to your first part?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'm going to finish.
For some reason, the fiscal supervisors have now began to interpret the law, which will be addressed in terms, and Mr. Riley, the former law director, has given his opinion probably at the last person personnel in the permanent committee about what the hiring freeze is. The charter is explicit in explaining the powers of city council and the powers of the mayor. And the charter, there's no piece of legislation that can be created by the legislative body that trumps the charter. When the charter says the mayor has the power to hire and fire, that's what it is. You can't put any legislation in place to limit that because the charter is what it is. And I'm not here to argue with you about it. And the fiscal commission has chosen to take a position on it. The fiscal supervisors have chosen to take a position on it where they began to interpret the law, which they're completely out of bounds. And the auditor of state himself will be dealing with that.
What my rationale is that we're not telling the mayor what it is he can and cannot do. That preamble states for the welfare of the financial status of the city is that we should check. But in its entirety, that same situation should be extended to drive down overtime costs in the fire department, whereas we're down part-timers there. I know we are, because I see an increase in payroll over there. It's probably around some 92,000, where we can get it down to 78. It's stacked on top of the salary.
Right. So overtime is 92,000.
No. The payroll itself over there is probably around now $92,000.
Okay.
We are normally within that area of 78 to 81 over there. That means that we're down the individuals 78,000. We are between 78,000 to 81,000. Everything.
So
that's everybody.
Okay. That's not entirely accurate.
I'm speaking that there is an increase over there, and how I want to know how you guys are approaching that.
Right. So for the
may not have my dollar amounts are at home.
4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, up to 12 years ago, overtime in the fire department was $450 to $500,000 a year.
Correct.
$500,000 a year. Last year we got it down probably about 125,000 or less.
You were correct.
And the reason that it was over 100,000 is because we couldn't start the program until after Zook left and Rick took over. Now, if we're down part-timers, Rick hasn't made me aware of it. But the program...
This is an email. So anyway, you didn't read your email?
Well, I've been out 6, so I don't know. If there's a change in the need for part-timers,
it is.
Then Rick is he's very capable in doing what's necessary to find the necessary people.
Okay, now that makes me go back to my next statement. Has anyone told any director of this of your overhead? Is it like your director of human resources or your chiefs that they could not bring in part-timers at this point? Has anybody
I think we cannot bring in part-timers
at this point, like the commission, they tell directors directly that they can't replace part-timers that have been taken off?
They said that they would not approve any status change, and a status change is a person who with no status to status, right? So that means we can't hire at all. They won't approve any. But right, since probably mid-December, when they began to interpret the law, which they are completely out of bounds.
Well, then
in my opinion.
that's
We have
our
not
battle.
brought anybody
But
up. We haven't brought
did
anybody
they
up.
talk to you directly and tell you, so you can inform your chief of fire that they cannot bring in part-time?
Well, he hasn't brought in any part-time.
All right, well, I think
Not
that
that
needs to
I'm aware
be looked into. This is not a checking
My point
type
is, here's
statement.
my
It's
point.
just to bring to your attention that there's
But
some
you need to
money
understand-
over there
but
that
you need to
we're
understand-
starting to see.
The point is that no one can bring anyone in because the paperwork has to be approved by the fiscal supervisors, right? So whether they are aware of it or not, they cannot go into the ADP system without the approval of the fiscal supervisors. So no one has been approved. Whether the chief knows it or not, whether he's heard it directly from them or not, if he puts in a status change, it would not be approved by the fiscal supervisors, and they approve every check that get cut, including payroll. So they would not accept it. It will never go into the ADP system, which is the checking system that the city uses for payroll. And whether Rick is aware of it or not, the people he brought on won't get paid. So if there's an increase because he needed part-timers, and it has been established from December to the present, then yes, payroll is going to go up because, one, they're not approving any new hires. Two, they're interpreting the local legislation the ordinance that you passed, and so until that is completely dealt with, no one will be hired.
Let me ask
All
a
right,
question.
so
Okay, I'm sorry.
Which we need to replace a law director.
a law director and assistant law director. Okay, but I noticed that, I'm just making a general statement.
Sure.
Now, you guys had a lieutenant's test over there too, and then the deputy chief or captain's test. They are remaining at their current status.
Well,
And we're contractually bound to give them that position, but we're not contractually bound what to give them the money.
right.
Is there going to be some type of grievance on that?
No. So what happened is, the charter again allows us to do certain things. One of which is what we did was we used a piece of the charter, we promoted everyone, and we put them back into their positions because we eliminated deputy chief.
And deputy chief.
Right. So we eliminated positions per the charter. So we did that back in spring of 2014. So there is no grievance. Their union is very aware of it.
We did renegotiate and we lost some lieutenant's positions.
Probably.
And then there's the attrition and things like that. I know some people are leaving. My question is just simple. How are we approaching the spots that are open?
Well, we're not approaching them because we don't have right now we're challenged by the fiscal supervisor's interpretation of the local ordinance.
Okay, and then that makes me go back to where I think I am correct when I'm saying that their marching orders per se with that does come from this body.
Well, under your logic, absolutely. But that does not necessarily.
Well, I said the marching order statement.
No, I understand exactly what
Aren't
you're saying.
they advising as it relates to what happens with the city of East Cleveland, its interdepartmental operations, particularly related to the legislation?
Are they advising?
Does come from this.
Right, no, what they're expecting you to do, this body to do, is pass to rescind the piece of legislation on the hiring freeze, right? Because they don't understand. They haven't read the charter, number one. It'll be explained to them. They haven't read the charter, and they're looking at only the piece of legislation. Now, I mean,
we can amend. I don't suggest we rescind, but I
however,
am
they're expecting this
interested
body
in
to
amending the hiring freeze to have specific language to vacancies and specific language to dealing with status changes.
Well, we intend to challenge it in its entirety. It's been interpreted. The former law director has given opinions on so many different occasions, even at the last Personnel and Appointments Committee meeting. Or the one before that, Mr. Riley gave his opinion. But anyway, yes, under your logic, they would need to see some actions from the council before they approve any status changes.
My question, and I'm sorry, I don't usually do that. if all this was, come to fruition, then in Riley saying that all this is, and the legislation wasn't legal, his department, the law department, wrote this legislation.
Yeah, that's why he's interpreting.
Okay.
He's an ability to interpret.
No, he wrote it,
Right.
and he's not, at that point in time, he did not say you couldn't do this.
Yes.
I'm putting it in, but you can't do this. But
Because the question wasn't asked at the time.
no, it didn't need to be asked, but he, and I'm not trying to be funny with you. I'm trying to say, Chief, all I'm trying to say is
He
that.
didn't craft that piece of legislation. Remember, you guys were having other people craft
No,
legislation.
he crafted that.
I don't know if he crafted it or not, but I had to find out. Because I know quite a bit of piece of legislation in
Well, his
2012, 2000.
His signature is.
Okay, well then maybe so.
And I'm not debating about who did what or why they did it. All I'm saying is, once we see the difference, or you prove to us, or someone proved to us that what we have done is incorrect, wait a minute, is incorrect, or not in what we're supposed to be doing, then we're not going to make excuses. We'll, like my councilman said, we'll make adjustments. And that has to come before us. At this particular time, it has not come before us. And I can't speak for the auditors, I can't speak for anybody. All I know is that they are, the auditors, the commission is there to help curtail the money back. Now, we still have the option of doing legislation and putting everything together. So once we get this given to us or directed to us or whatever, then like I said, we will make adjustments.
So Mr. Riley's interpretation was that his interpretation, well, he's a law director, he has the ability to interpret. But